Hello everyone, my name is Robert Garcia and I'm with Trellis Supportive Care, formerly Hospice and Palliative Care Center. And it gives me great pleasure and great honor to be here with you today to present to you an advanced care planning workshop that you'll be able to follow along with some materials that the church here at River Oaks has been so kind to provide this for all of us here at the church as members of the church. We hope that you find this very informative, and it's very important. So first we'd like to ask you to please, if you haven't already, to get on godplans123.org. You'll see the God Plan sign behind me on both sides. And it's a very simple website to get onto, godplans123.org. And if you go to the resource tab, hit that and scroll down, you'll see forms. And the North Carolina Advanced Care Directive forms are right there. I might add also that if there's some of you that would like them in Spanish, they are in Spanish also. If you know of somebody that would, maybe a friend that you're going to share this with, that they can also pull it down in Spanish. The website also too has some great information, a couple of videos on there so that you can have a better understanding of the importance of doing your advanced care planning. So let's move forward with that. Also, and before I move forward, I'd like to remind you too that after you've attended this workshop, you can attend our Zoom workshops, which we do at Trellis, every Tuesday at 1 o'clock. That is also on the website there. You can go on there, look for our workshops, and you can sign up every Tuesday at 1 o'clock. We have a live Zoom workshop for you that you can follow along, and it'll be the same as what you're seeing here, but you'll be able to get, you can ask questions at that time. You certainly can ask questions after you've viewed this tape. Sonny is going to provide you with my telephone number and my email address. Please feel free to contact me by either email or phone. I'll be more than happy to answer any and all of your questions. So advanced care planning. Why is this so important? A lot of times people say, well, you know what, Robert, I really don't need that right now. I'm not at that point. And I'm like, what point might that be? They think this is all related to age. This is not an age-related thing. I always tell people, if you're 25 years of age and married and have a child, you and your wife should have advanced care planning in place. You should have these documents in place. So it's not an age-specific thing. So if you're watching this, that said, make sure that if you have adult children or friends, siblings, people that maybe have not got this done, to watch this video or to attend one of our workshops, because it's so important, and you're going to understand why at the completion of this. So, advanced care planning. 3 documents. First, the first document is that you're going to be picking out a healthcare power of attorney. The second document is filling out a living will. And the third one is merely the signature page, which is going to be notarized. And I might add, right now it's a little difficult during this pandemic to go to a bank and or to go somewhere and get it notarized. I know we have notaries here at the church that Pastor Sonny Flowers can arrange for you to maybe stop by and get it notarized. Also too, at Trellis, we have gotten through the state of North Carolina the ability to do a virtual notary. So, if you'd like to do it that way, you merely call our main number, which will be listed for you. Call our main number and ask and let them know that you'd like to do a virtual notary for your advanced care planning. That's as simple as it gets. By the way, there's no cost involved in any of this. So, let's go on to our first topic, which is choosing a healthcare power of attorney. Healthcare power of attorney. A lot of times I'm in a room and people will say, well, wait a minute, Robert, I already have a power of attorney. Well, they might very well, in fact, have a power of attorney. But in most cases, it's the durable power of attorney that they have in place already. The durable power of attorney that they've put in place, they've gone to an attorney's office and they put this in place. That is somebody that's going to be handling legal issues, financial issues for you. They have a totally different set of responsibilities than a healthcare power of attorney does. Can they be the same person? By all means. But unless designated, they're not the same person. So make sure that you know that there is a distinct difference between your durable power of attorney and your healthcare power of attorney. So, simply put, a definition of a healthcare power of attorney is someone that you choose to speak for you in a healthcare situation where you cannot speak for yourself. Simply put, we hope that we never have to use a healthcare power of attorney, right? But that time might come, so we have to make sure that the person that we choose is speaking for us, not for them, not for any other family members, but for you. This is not a selfish act. It might seem that way, but what it is because if you were speaking for yourself, you would. So you want the person that you entrust with this responsibility, and it is a lot of responsibility, you want to make sure that you have these discussions with them. And I'm going to go into several details about that. So, who can you pick? Well, first, they have to be 18 years of age or older and of right mind. Do they have to be your husband or wife? No. Does it have to be a family member? No. It's whoever you choose. Now, this isn't a popularity choice by any stretch of the imagination when I say, no, you don't pick your husband or your wife or your child. It's because in some cases, people don't want to put that burden on their family members. Maybe they have a friend, a dear friend of theirs that is in the healthcare industry and maybe can have a better concept of what's being discussed with them in a hospital setting. And it's okay. It's totally a personal choice. So you want to make sure that when you're choosing someone, that first and foremost, do not fill these documents out, put somebody down there, a couple of people down there, and not have this conversation with them. You have to make sure that A, they know that you've chosen them, B, that they're comfortable in carrying out your wishes and speaking for you. And also, you want to make sure that everybody else in your family, or related to you, or friends, whoever the case might be, that they know who is in that position as your healthcare power of attorney. We've had people fill them out before and not had the conversation with people. And then they get a phone call that, oh, Robert's in the hospital, you're the healthcare power of attorney, and the person goes, what? They didn't know that. They didn't review the living will with them. They didn't review some other details. That's not a good scenario. So please, whoever you choose, have the conversation with them. You might be surprised. Some of them might not be comfortable being your healthcare power of attorney because it's not a burden. It might just be a responsibility that they're not comfortable with, and that's okay. No harm, no foul. I always use the example of my little sister when, before I was married, I picked her for my healthcare power of attorney, and I sent her the documents. We didn't really have the conversation, but she said, not a problem. You know I would do anything for you. I said, great. When she got the documents and she was reading them, she goes, you know what, I'm not sure about a couple of these things. And I just kind of chuckled. I said, these are my decisions, little sister. This is what I want. This is what I don't want. Okay? If you're not comfortable, no harm, no foul, I'll remove you from that role. And so we had to have that conversation. And after the conversation, she understood and she was able to accept the role of being my healthcare power of attorney. So, think about who you're going to pick. Have the conversation with them. Make sure that they know. Okay? Now, let's go to the sheet that talks about this. You'll see it in front of you, and it will also be on the screen for you. It's choosing your healthcare power of attorney or choosing your healthcare agent. A very simple document to fill out. At the very top, you're going to notice a line there that can sometimes confuse people, but it says if you do not wish to appoint a healthcare agent, you just merely initial there and you strike through the document. Because in some instances, people fill out the other document, which is the living will, but they say, no, that's okay. I already know that my wife or my husband is going to be my healthcare power of attorney. That's their choice. We hope that they give it a little bit more thought and you'll see why. But if that's the case, they would initial at the top. If not, you're going to go on and you're going to print your name right there at the top. And I might add that you want to print your full legal name. Do not put a nickname. For instance, I'm Robert Garcia. I don't want to put Bob Garcia on there because I'm just being quick about filling this out. You want to make sure that if it's Robert or William, not Bill, whatever the case might be, but make sure you put your legal name, your birth date. Then you're going to see where you can list the very first healthcare power of attorney. Very simple. Their names, their phone numbers, their addresses, their email addresses, everything is listed on this document. So you're going to have that conversation with. You want to make sure that if I'm going to pick some fictitious people so that I can use an example. So let's say I pick a friend of mine. His name is Tony. I want to make sure that they know where Tony can be reached, whether it's by cell phone, a home number, a work number, or an email address. I want Tony reached. So you want to make sure that you get all that information. Do not leave it to guess, or just say, yeah, I'm not really sure. I don't need to put his address, or I don't need to put this. No, get as much as you possibly can. So then you're going to see, if this person is unable, I choose this person. This is the second person. This is your choice, but I highly recommend that you pick a second healthcare power of attorney. Why is this? Let's say I choose Tony, but Tony is on vacation in Europe at the time that I'm incapacitated and I cannot speak for myself in a healthcare situation. Tony is in France somewhere. He's not doing me much good over there. I'm going to pick a second person. So I'm going to pick my buddy Bill. And Bill's going to be my second person, and they're going to contact Bill then. And again, I'm going to have the conversation with Bill, letting him know that he is in the, let's just say for explanation purposes, he's the second person in command, or he's the second person in charge of making decisions for me. He knows that Tony is in the first slot. But they're going to call him. They say, we cannot find Tony. Bill, we've got your name. Bill comes, and he's going to be my spokesperson. Okay? Same thing. You want to fill out their information to the nth degree. Make sure that they both know. Make sure that Tony knows that you've chose Bill, and Bill knows that you've chose Tony. Okay? Tony comes back from Europe. Let's say he was on the very tail end of his vacation. He comes back. He gets to the hospital. He finds out Robert's in the hospital. He resumes the role as my healthcare power of attorney. This isn't let's get together and make a decision. They both understand who's in the first slot. So make sure that you think about this long and hard and you make this decision. Again, have the conversation. I keep re-emphasizing this. Make sure that they're comfortable with these decisions. Do not just mention it to them and not review things. Because everybody's different in regards to their health care. There might be some cultural differences. There might be some religious differences. There might be some underlying healthcare issues already at the time that you're filling these out. It can be very personal, so you want to make sure that they are okay with what you're discussing with them. Next on the sheet, you're going to see special instructions written down here. And that's exactly what that is, special instructions. Should you have let's say there's a special instructions, let's say you're only wanting to go to a certain hospital, or there's a cultural issue that you want respected, or a religious reason or specific in accordance with your religious beliefs that you want to make sure that they abide by. I use these as examples because they have come up. That's exactly what it is, a special instruction. You'll notice on that sheet that there's not a whole lot of room right there for special instructions. Some people don't put any special instructions. Some people might have a great deal of special instructions. Well, if that's the case, don't worry about trying to write really small or trying to squeeze it all in. Merely at the bottom line, please see attached addendum. And you can attach, let's say you type an addendum up and you attach it on there. That's all you have to do. Also under special instructions, if you choose a third person to be your healthcare power of attorney, which is not unusual, because let's say Tony is out, they can't reach Tony, Bill is also gone, he's in California somewhere and he can't be reached, you can choose a third person. You can list it right here. So that's totally up to you. Definitely, I would highly recommend that you choose two people, and a third person, there's nothing wrong with that. So think about that, okay? Down at the very bottom, it says number 3, organ donation. Now, many of us, when we think organ donations, we say, well, Robert, that's okay. I've got that on my driver's license. I got the little heart on there. I'm good. What's this about? Well, you're absolutely right. That's a great thing. Organ donation in general is a fantastic thing that we can do in saving the lives of others. through our donations. But this takes it a step further. If you initial this bottom line, it's saying that my healthcare agent, so Tony, I'm saying, Tony, if it gets to that point, I'm giving you permission to donate my organs or my tissues or any other parts of my body after death. So I'm giving you full autonomy to make that decision, Tony. So I want to make sure Tony understands that. And by the way, when it comes to organ donations, many people sometimes cringe a little bit when they think about this, but it's an unbelievable thing that you can do for another person. You can go on organ donations. You can just put that, type it into your Google, and there's several different organizations. One main organization of, I think it's organdonation.com, to be quite frank with you. And they'll give you specifics, and they'll tell you the importance of organ donation. It might surprise you. So again, strictly a personal choice, but if you initial there, that gives your healthcare power of attorney the ability to do that. So that's your healthcare power of attorney. Please choose wisely, have the conversations with everybody. Okay? Okay. So the next document that we're going to fill out is the living will. And you're going to see that it's a very simple one page. It's not a lengthy document, but oh so important in filling out and having the understanding of what it is. So let's talk about that. Again, at the top, it has the same sentence as the previous. If you decide not to prepare a living will, that's fine. That's your choice. You initial up there and you strike through this. You don't have to fill it out. But if you choose to fill it out, you want to, again, make sure you put your legal name up there, your birth date, and then let's go to number 1. This has got three questions here that you're going to have to make a decision on. And I'm going to do a little role playing with my imaginary healthcare power of attorney, Tony, here. If I'm unable to make or communicate healthcare decisions, I desire that my life not be prolonged by life-prolonging measures in the following situations. So situation number 1. Tony, I've initialed here because if I have a condition that cannot be cured and that will result in my death within a relatively short period of time, Tony, there's no need to prolong my life. I want to have that conversation with Tony. Robert, how long should I consider a relatively short period of time? That's a question that comes up all the time because if you ask 20 people, they're going to think 20 different things. Well, certainly we want to say that the doctors and the hospital staff is going to have that conversation with Tony, and they're going to determine a relatively short period of time. And I have the condition, and it's not going to be curable. Tony, there's no need to prolong my life with life-prolonging measures. Life-prolonging measures, resuscitation, respirators, maybe an emergency surgery that is really not going to prolong my life. I'm just telling Tony that's okay. I want to make sure that he's going to have those conversations and get all the details he possibly can before. But I'm initialing if I initial that, that's telling him I do not want my life prolonged. The second one, if I initial there, it says if I become unconscious and my doctors determine to a high degree of medical certainty that I will not regain my consciousness. Tony, I've initialed that. If the doctors tell you I'm not going to regain my consciousness, there's no need to prolong my life. It never fails. In a group, when I do these workshops, they'll say, well, but I've heard of people being in comas for a week or 2 weeks or a month. Well, that might very well be the case. But in those cases, the doctors, this might be a scenario, a case where they do have determined that a person can come out of unconsciousness, I should say. So they're going to have this. It's just not a quick, oh, he's unconscious right now. He's not going to regain, but they're going to give him their professional opinion as to what's going on with me. But if the doctors come up to Tony and they say, in our professional opinion, to our high degree of medical certainty, as it states right here, Robert's not going to regain his consciousness. Tony, there's no need for life-prolonging measures because you can perform life-prolonging measures to a person that is unconscious. CPR, start their heart back up with paddles or the ventilator. But if I'm never going to come out of that state, I'm telling my healthcare power of attorney there's no need. I'm going to stop right there, and before I get to the third one, because I always tell people, and I should have stated this at the beginning, sometimes when we talk about these things, people get, at whatever age, they cringe a little bit. They think this is a little bit morbid. It's not morbid. Please don't look at it like this. These are just scenarios that come up. We hope that we never have to use any of this. But in the event that we do, you're making the decision right now, because you're in your right state of mind, that this is what you want or don't want, and you're not putting the burden on your family members or loved ones to make these decisions. So please don't look at it like that. They are not water cooler conversations that you have with people. Certainly, we'd rather talk about sports, or we'd rather talk about something else. We don't want to talk about this, but they are very important topics to discuss. But don't look at it from that perspective. Okay. The third one, if I suffer from advanced dementia, which, by the way, dementia is the umbrella. There's several different forms of dementia, Alzheimer's being the most commonly known one, or any other condition which results in substantial loss of my ability to think, and my doctors once again determined to a high degree of medical certainty that it's not going to get any better. Now, right now, I don't have it. I'm filling this out because I don't have dementia, but I'm telling Tony, should that time come, if by some chance I contract a form of dementia, and there's different stages, but if it ever gets to that stage where it's so advanced that I have lost all ability to think, I really don't even know who Tony is at that point. I'm saying right now, Tony, God forbid, should that time come, there's no need to prolong my life. And I want to make sure he understands that. Because someone can have a form of dementia for a long period of time. It's not, yes, is it more prevalent in the elderly? By all means. But there's also younger people that have had it. I've seen it as young as 36 years of age. So this is something that you want to really think about in regards to all of it. You want to think about in detail. And by the way, if you're uncomfortable about some of these conversations or you want some more clarity, by all means, confer with your doctor. Before you walk out of that that examination room and says, "Is there any questions?" "Yeah, doc, I've got a question. I'm filling out my living will. Can I talk to you about a couple of things?" By all means, I would have that conversation so that you're a little bit more comfortable with it. Okay. Number 2 on your sheet, if I initial there, it states, even though I do not want my life prolonging measure, even though I do not want my life prolonged by life prolonging measures in the above situations that I've initialed or not initialed above, I do want to receive tube feeding. Now, you would think, when I say this, people think, well, wait a minute, Robert, if I've already initialed all 3, why would I want tube feeding? It has come up before, and in the state of North Carolina, they felt this was very important to put on because in some instances, people might want that. Now, tube feeding, you have to have a full understanding of what that is. That is artificial nutrition that is administered. Certainly, it can prolong somebody's life. It can help somebody. But in end-of-life scenarios, we want to make sure that we have an understanding. And you can get online, like we can for so many different topics, and you can find information. For instance, like under Caring Connections, they have a great article about artificial nutrition and hydration and understanding what that is. It's very aggressive. Now, the person that is maybe just coming out and is unable to receive nutrition through the mouth, they might have to do this. And of course, the hydration is very, very important. But in end of life, it can be very detrimental. It can cause more problems than it can alleviate problems. So that's one that you might want to have a discussion with your doctor so that you'll have a full understanding of that. But if I initial that one, okay, if that means I want tube feeding. So it states right here, initial here, only if you do want tube feeding. So have that discussion. Number 3, number 4, merely statements. It says, number 3 says, I wish to be made as comfortable as possible. It certainly is the goal of any and all healthcare providers to make you as comfortable as possible, as clean and pain-free as possible. Number 4, my health care providers may rely on this living will to withhold or discontinue life-prolonging measures in the situations I've initialed above. These are just reiterating what we've decided above. Now, number 5 is very, very important. When you look at this, I want you to really think about this. If I've appointed a healthcare power of attorney or a healthcare agent, and that healthcare agent gives instructions that differ from what I've placed on this living will, then you'll notice the very first one. If I initial there, I'm saying follow this living will. My healthcare agent cannot make decisions that are different from what I stated in this living will. Tony, I've initialed this. I want you to follow this to the nth degree. Okay, I've initialed it. Tony cannot make a decision different than what I've listed. Now, if I initial the bottom one, that says follow healthcare agent. My healthcare agent has the authority to make decisions that are different from what I've indicated in the living will. So I've picked Tony. You know what, Tony? I'm going to put the bottom because right now it's 2020. Things can change. By 2024, there might be they're making medical advancements all the time. So Tony, I'm going to leave it to you. You can change this up if you feel in your heart of hearts, in your opinion and in the professional opinion of the doctors that are caring for me, you can change this up from what Robert decided to do in 2020. So this is very, very important. You're giving him that autonomy, or her, that autonomy to make decisions that are different. Let's say you pick one of your daughters or one of your sons and they're in the medical profession. That might be a good time to say, I'm going to give them the authority to change this or to go against some of the things that I put on the living will. Not necessarily go against, but they can make decisions that are different that are on the living will. So this is a very important at the very bottom. This is all important, but at the very bottom, what you choose to do. And remember, once you put it down there, even though Tony might get directed different ways, he's going to say, by law, I've got to follow what Robert put. But if I choose the bottom one, I've given him the autonomy and my permission to change decisions about my health care. Okay? So that's the living will. We've got the healthcare power of attorney. We've got the living will. Again, we hope we never have to use these, right? And let me use one example before I go to the final one. I always talk about a friend of mine. This is when I first started doing these programs 9-10 years ago. And he was at the time he was in his early 40s. But he had 2 daughters and he traveled a lot with work. And I told him, Michael, I said, you should really do your advanced directives. Do you have them in place? He said, no. And I said, well, listen, we're doing these workshops. It's free, da-da-da-da-da. He said, oh, Robert, I don't need to do it. I'm not that old yet. And I said, Michael, it has nothing to do with age. So this is very important that you have to do, and I'd really like you to read them. I think it's valuable. He said, no, that's okay, Robert. I said, well, let me ask you something, Michael. I said, do you have life insurance? He goes, oh, yeah, I have tons of it. I said, why? And he started to answer, well, of course, because I want to make sure. And then he stopped himself. What is it about life? And no, nothing against life insurance, because I have it also. But he was very comfortable in choosing life insurance and making that decision to care for his family, for his children, and leaving them in a good financial situation should something happen to him. So then he got the point. So I always use that as an example, because so many times we don't have a problem, when it comes to making decisions about retirement, savings, college, having children, we're fine with that, making plans for all that. But when it comes to our own health care, we sometimes fall short. So this is just something that is as simple as the documents are to fill out, but it takes a lot of thought. But you've got it done, and it's what you want. I always stress that, it's what you want. This isn't a selfish thing. This is just because we are all different. We're all wired differently, and that's fine. But who's ever around that bedside, there's been scenarios I'm sure you've been a part of where people have been family members. Family dynamics comes into play sometimes, unfortunately. And everybody's got an opinion. Everybody wants to make one decision, another. These 2 brothers want to decide this. The other 2 brothers want to decide this. But if you ask the person that's in the bed what they want, it might be something totally different than what either of them want. So again, this is a very personal thing. Take it seriously, have the conversations with everybody, and make sure that they fully understand your decisions. The last part of the documents is merely the the signature page, which is completing the document. Now this is, and by the way, do not fill any of this out until you get in front of a notary. It's merely the signature page. It's very easy. I'm sure many of us have filled out paperwork where we've had to get it notarized. So you want to make sure you don't fill any of this out until you get in front of a notary. Contact Pastor Sonny Flowers. Be more than happy to set you up with a notary here at the church. You also have the option, you can call us at Trellis at any time and say that you've done your advanced care directives, you'd like to get it notarized. We now have something that's been approved by the state of North Carolina. It's called a virtual notary, and we'd be more than happy to do it for you. Again, this is at no cost to you. That's the beautiful thing about these documents. They do not cost you a dime. So, we've got the documents signed. We've got them filled out, we've got them notarized. What do we do with them? We put them in a safety deposit box. We put them in the home safe. We put them underneath the bed. What do we do with them? D, none of the above. What you want to do with all your documents is that you want to make as many copies as needed. You want to make copies for the people that you've chosen as your healthcare power of attorneys. Make sure that they all have a copy. If there's children involved, you want to make sure all the children have a copy of these documents so that they can have in their possession. Also, too, you want to make sure that all your healthcare professionals that have something to do with your healthcare, for instance, your primary care physician, maybe you have an oncologist, an internal medicine doctor, cardiologist, whatever the case might be, you can make as many copies as you want of the notarized documents. You want to get them to all of them. They will scan it and put it in your records. If there's a hospital that you prefer, you can take it to the hospital. They go to the admission office, give them your name and your social, because if you've been there before, they've got you on file. They will turn around, scan it, and God forbid, it should happen. Let's say if I have it scanned at a hospital, I show up at the ER, they pull my name up, they will see the documents, and they will see my healthcare power of attorneys and all their contact information listed right there. And in a span of less than 2 minutes, they'll be able to contact those individuals. So make as many copies as you possibly can. Now remember, if you need to edit this in any way, form, or fashion, let's say you need to change up healthcare power of attorneys, or there's something that you want to change in regards to the living will, it's okay. Make new copies, make the edits, and then just get them notarized, and the most recently dated ones are the ones that will be put in place. So, but you got to remember too, is that whichever ones that you, whoever you chose to distribute this to, you want to make sure that they have a current copy of this. These documents are so important, everyone. Take the time to fill them out. Take the time to have the conversation with your loved ones, with your family members. Make sure that they're all comfortable with this. And most of all, make sure that you are comfortable with these decisions. And remember, you can change it up. Right now it's 2020. 3 or 4 years from now, there might be some changes in medicine. There might be, you might have a change of heart. You might need to change someone. That's okay. Make the changes. Have the conversations. Plan. This is so important. It doesn't take much time, but it's time very, very well spent. On behalf of Trellis Supportive Care, and on behalf of River Oaks Community Church, I would like to thank you for giving me this opportunity to speak with you and to talk to you. And again, at any time you'd like, you can call me, email me. I'm there for you. Thank you very much, and hope you're having a great day. Bye-bye.